Michelle, how you doing today?
Hey Dave, great. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. We're in August, right? We're going to take a look at July, and this is San Mateo County. So what's going on out there?
Right. So what we're going to do is look at three different factors. They're different. Maybe people are noticing. Yeah. So we're always going to talk about prices, Dave, because we have to. It's an important part of what's going on. But we've been hearing a lot about the cycle, right? So when are things going to trend down in terms of volume, transactions, and stuff? So we'll take a look at closed sales, and then in terms of sale to list price ratio, we're going to talk about how competitive the market was in July. So that's what we're going to do. Jumping in with the median sale price. So this is San Mateo County. I love these long-term trends. I know people probably look at them and say, but this is a really good look at what's happening. It did decrease from June to July. That's about 1.8%, almost 2%. But June was an all-time high, right? And if you look year over, since the beginning of the year, it's 22% increase, roughly. It's just, softening a little, maybe in some markets, right? This is a median, half under, half over. So half the homes sold for more, half the homes sold for less. But you could still see there's a tremendous amount of value in San Mateo County. Did back off a little bit. But it depends on where you are. So let's go into the cities, because you say, wow, it came down a smidge,
Ooh.
2%. But there were quite a few cities there where July was had a higher price than June. And so it wasn't all cities, and it wasn't you can't even say it was by a little bit. Look at these numbers with Atherton, East Palo Alto, El Granada has few sales, but if you look at these numbers, this means that even off of a very strong June, we saw a lot of markets still increasing in terms of the median price here by a significant amount. I mean, I think East Palo Alto is an all-time high number. I mean, I have a question mark. Definitely since 2018 and 10 sales. Hillsborough, the highest price we've seen since January 2018. Woodside rebounding after a decrease in June. But there's just a lot here. So month to month, it really depends on where it is. San Carlos, an all-time high, it looks like. I mean, there's just a lot there. The cities that did decrease from July to June, I'm still going month over month. I'm not looking year over year at this point. There are some, and this is how you get that county decline, but marginally here. So where it did decline was kind of big, although Montero, Lomar, very few. Montero's one sale. Menlo Park, highest price since September of 2019, was a year ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's relative. If you look at what's been happening over the last few months, some of these cities are just kind of retreating from some of the earlier highs. And so marginal decrease here in San Mateo County, and again, depends on where you were. Now, in terms of common interest, that's a little bit of a different story, right? So this is a second month of declines, a 3.2% decrease. It's also down year over year. If you look year over year, last July was very good for the common interest market in San Mateo County. So definitely more volatile, but it had been like several months, right? The start of the year, and you saw these prices increase, and then we've seen a couple months of it going down. But again, it just really depends on where you were. And I'm looking at this slide. It's busy. I apologize. I probably should have split them up. But you could see everything. These are the common interest cities that had sales, I should say, in July. But anyway, it's really mixed. And where it's big, it's big. I mean, Burlingame, that's not an all-time high. August 2020 was 1.871. I think Redwood Shores, though, might be an all-time high price. It's definitely since 2018. San Carlos, $600,000 increase over last month. Menlo Park, a decrease, but off a 2+ year high. I mean, some of these things, like I said, a little more volatile. San Mateo for sure has been volatile, but like in general, if you lost a little bit, it wasn't necessarily that much. Belmont, San Mateo being kind of the bigger ones there, but it just really depends where you are on these prices. So I encourage people to kind of look and, maybe study a little bit more about where they are, because these are just kind of some trends, right, that we're looking at here in prices. Now, in terms of closed sales, I wanted to kind of pivot. Sometimes we look at new listings. I wanted to throw this in because we've heard a lot about the sales cycle, and we are starting to maybe see, sales cycle decrease. Our partner economist, Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, suggested that we would return to kind of a normal cycle where up in the winter, peak in the spring, down in the summer kind of thing. It looks to be a little extended because we're still seeing a ton of closed sales. Look at this year compared to last year, compared to 2019. It's still pretty high. So it was a 10% decrease from June to July, but it's a 10% increase year over year. There were 415 closed sales 2 years ago in July. So I think this is a pretty strong July still in San Mateo County. And we see that at the city level, right? So I love those big percentage changers, La Honda with one additional closed sale. But in general, you can see here, look at Portola Valley. I mean, this is the time of year to see the sales cycle start to decline, where you do get fewer sales, maybe you start to see fewer new listings, maybe you creep up on the DOM, stuff like that. But in some markets, in other markets, look at these very fruitful, it's just continuing on. And June was pretty robust itself. So we did have more cities in July that couldn't best June in terms of the number of closed sales, and it looks like a bigger percentage, right? But it's kind of interesting, like Atherton, 3 straight months of decline. They had 12 sales in April, kind of gone down since then. San Carlos is down, but 50, it was the most we've seen for at least 4 years. Same with Woodside, down, but 19, 18, those are numbers we really haven't seen since before 2018. And so some of these cities just can't keep the pace in terms of the number of closed sales. So not abnormal for this time of year, and certainly not coming off all-time like numbers. If you look at common interest, and again, I apologize, I probably should have split these up, but this is the entire common interest market here, where you see, it depends. Again, depends on where you are. A lot less of positive momentum though, right? Because you can see that middle part of the graph with a lot of zeros, meaning they held steady. But in general, there are 156 closed sales in San Mateo County, down from 191. It's a little over 18%. So a bigger drop than we saw in single family home market. This is just, San Bruno, San Mateo drops, but, again, last month were highest we've seen since. Everyone's getting tired of me saying that, but, we're coming off some big numbers there. So keep our eye on it. I mean, I would recommend, just like with the new listings, Dave, got to keep on those closed sales. Take a look at what's going on by week. These are the Aculist weeklies available on Pro, and still San Mateo trending higher, right? This is just a weekly snapshot, and so seems to be a pretty much higher every week, even so far into the summer. So keep your eye on those if you want some real up-to-date data for that. Now, the last factor I want to cover is sale to list price ratio, because the market really is still competitive. We saw San Mateo decline in single family home from 111 to 110%. But that's 111 is, we haven't seen that since, you don't even see it on the graph because it was in 2018. So these are still very high sale to list price ratios, what people are paying over ask. And as we switch to the city look, again, a lot of 0% changes, meaning June was very strong, and a lot of these cities didn't increase, but also didn't decrease, just kind of held steady. So we're seeing prices come up or down depending on where you are. But the sale to list price ratio suggests there's still a lot of competition in the market, especially in those top 4. San Carlos at 112, haven't seen it since 2018. Woodside just off the 105 high we saw in October of 2020. Portola Valley, I mean, look at these luxury markets, haven't seen 105 since we saw 111 in June of 2018. So these are still really big numbers, Dave. And even where things declined, Atherton, the only market under 100%, not unusual for that ultra luxury market, but we're still seeing really high sale to list price ratios. The interesting part, like Glomamar, Menlo Park, Burlingame, Montero, also down in price. So that tells you something different. When both are up or when both are down, that definitely tells you something. Otherwise, I mean, look at this. Sale to list price ratios, even at the common interest, county's at 105, right? We hadn't seen that since April of 2018. These are super 2018-like memories. And so there's a lot of growth in the sale to list price ratio. That, price came down quite a bit, but San Carlos, haven't seen this in September in 2018. Millbrae, it's been volatile, but 2021 high. Menlo Park hit 106. now down to 99, a little volatility there. Anyway, you have to look around, Dave, but there's still a lot of price appreciation. Depends on where you are. It's that time of year. We're going to start to see it. Wouldn't be surprised to see closed sales. Elliot Eisenberg says the cycle's back. It'll be really interesting to come back again and see, with those new listings, what we're going to see for closed sales, what that's going to do to prices on those, depending on what's out there. But we'll be back in next month to talk about August.
Michelle, great job. Looking forward to it. See you in September to take a look at August.
Make sure to check out our Pro Support page for additional videos on a full range of topics. And don't forget to click that subscribe button on our MLS Listings YouTube page.